Hello everybody, the History Guy here, trying something new today. This is the game Empire Total War. This is a mod called American Civil War Brother Against Brother, and it includes a campaign mode. And so I have decided I'm going to play through the campaign and invite you to join with me. I am not an expert on Empire Total War or any of the Total War games. I'm mostly familiar with the game mechanics, but certainly not an expert to know what to do when and all those sorts of things. I'm just doing this as a guy who loves the Civil War time period, loves playing games, and I'm going to do my best to help the South change history and win this war. So as you're watching this, I'll probably only do an episode every couple of days. So as you're watching this, if you see something, as with all my videos, that maybe you want to point out to me and say, hey, you're overlooking this, or maybe you should try this, I want to hear that, because I do not claim to be an expert on this. So I became a much better player at Ultimate General Civil War because of others' feedback. I want to invite people to do the same with this to help me become a better player. And maybe you'll be entertained in the process. So we're starting out the war here. It is the winter of 1861, and obviously conflict will not start right away. But right now, as with any good grand strategy game, the first things first are to start building up and preparing for war. So I've got to look at the different options here and see what it is that I want to do in various situations, and what these different things are going to allow us to do. So Ordnance School gives us the ability to make siege mortars. I don't know if that's a priority just yet. Regional Command enables the recruitment of Confederate Marines. Again, not really something I'm too worried about. Ordnance Factory, though, is going to give me the ability to build some pretty important tools of war, which will be some of these various types of cannon that I'll definitely want to be able to use. 12-pound Napoleons, 3-inch ordnance rifles, which have a real nice range to them. Barracks, that enables me to build some generals here: Joseph Johnston, Pierre Beauregard, Robert E. Lee, and then of course we can build some famous divisions like Hood's Texans, Mosby's Raiders, the Laurel Brigade, Blackford's Virginia Sharpshooters, and on and on. So a lot of options there. That's definitely something we're going to want to have. I'm not going to worry about the fortifications right now. However, it looks like I'm already able to build a lot of these things, so I don't know exactly what the point is in building ordnance factories and all that if I can already build those things. So, alright. Might have just wasted that money for nothing. I don't know. Let's get some 12-pound Napoleons going. Let's get the Stonewall Brigade going. Some Maryland Volunteers. We'll get us Stonewall Jackson queued up. Looks like I can have quite a few things, but not all going at once. So we're just going to kind of queue these things up and have them ready to go. I'm not going to worry about cavalry just yet. We've got two 12-pound Napoleons already. I guess that's probably good for now. Potomac Guards, that'll be good for now. I'm just going to kind of cycle through these different places. I'm not worried too much about Santa Fe, New Mexico right now, I don't think. Maybe we'll build a little bit of state militia just so we have somebody there. Same thing with Midlands and Texas. I think we'll just get some state militia going for now. I'm not going to worry too much about every one of these cities right now. I got to focus on the priorities. Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah, obviously we can see St. Louis, Missouri's right up there, so this is probably a place I want to build a few things. For now, we'll just go state militia, queue up a couple of those. New Orleans, that's a city that fell pretty quickly in the war to the Union, being right there by the ocean. The Union, it was certainly kind of vulnerable to that. Let's queue up Napoleon Grays. Some 12-pound Napoleons there. And look at construction for just a second. I'm going to wait until I see what else I need. Nashville, definitely a place that I've got to think about. They're right across the border here from Frankfort, Kentucky. So that's obviously a place that's going to be of concern, but I can't really even build much there yet. We're going to build up the infrastructure so we can get trains going in and out of there quicker. Governor's residence, St. Augustine. I'm not going to worry too much about that. State militia, state militia. State militia in Savannah. And I think I'm just about out of all the places I can build state militia. So we're going to start queuing up some volunteers here that we can take north up into Richmond. I'm down to 9,000 in funds, so I might need to hold right there. I probably need to think some about things that are going to bring in more money for me. I'm a little nervous about building this up because I feel like that's something that the Union may go after early in the war, but I want to at least get something going there. So we'll hold on to the last 8,000 until we see what happens at the end of the first turn. I come before you to discuss matters for the good of the Republic. Abraham Lincoln is offering me a trade agreement in return for West Texas. Yeah, I think no. Sorry, buddy. Not going to happen. All right, and so it looks like from time to time, at the end of each turn, we're going to get these historical tidbits that are going to just update us on things and just inform us about the background for the Civil War. I'm not going to take the time to read all this, but in essence, the simple answer to the cause of the war is slavery, but it's much, much more complicated than that, and I don't want to get into a big debate about the political ramifications, but suffice it to say that, slavery was a huge issue in politics in the United States in the 1840s, 1850s, and into 1860. Slavery was the driving issue behind the secession movement for the deep, what they call the Cotton States, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, etc. However, states like Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas, Tennessee, they only seceded after the events at Fort Sumter and Lincoln calling for volunteers. A lot of the people who fought for the South, especially in those states which provided most of the manpower for the South in the war, they fought what they saw as an invasion of their homeland, and it was really just as simple as that. I had a lot of family on both sides during the war. My family in the North, I think they primarily fought to preserve the Union. That was why they went to war. My family in the South, they didn't own slaves. They were fighting what they saw as an invasion, as a trampling of their rights. Now, slavery was one of those issues, obviously, but it wasn't just as simple as that. So that's really all I want to say about that, since that came up there. All right, so we're back up to almost 20,000 in funds here, and there's our recruitment report. We got a lot of the state militia already going. Let's just take a look. We got a lot queued up right now, so there's not really any sense in doing more. The big issue I'm concerned about, obviously, is my economy, because at some point the North's going to start blockading, and I'm going to have a rough time being able to trade with other nations. I don't know exactly how all that works, so if you're more familiar with the game than I am and you can offer me some advice on how I should best go about dealing with the economy aspects of the game and the foreign intervention and all that kind of stuff, I would love to hear from you. I'm not going to take the time to kind of explore all that right now. There's government stuff here, and we don't have any trade income coming in right now. At some point, obviously, that's probably going to need to be happening. There's certain policy steps that we can take with taxes, farmers. I've actually got the cities basically kind of being, I believe I turned on just city management being done by itself. Here's trade, so I'm not going to get into that a whole lot. I want to mostly focus on the war aspect and fighting the war. So they're 90% secessionist, 10% unionist in Richmond. I'm sure that's a little different when you get over here to places like Kentucky and Tennessee. Frankfort, see, they're pretty evenly divided. Tennessee's going to be probably the same, yeah. Eastern Tennessee, for the most part, which Nashville's not in the east, but Eastern Tennessee was actually very pro-union. and certain parts of Kentucky were very pro-Confederate. So I think we're good here for now. I'm going to go ahead and, let's click on diplomatic relations real quick. Obviously, the U.S. is unfriendly, but I don't believe we are yet at war. Britain's indifferent to me. I wonder if we can negotiate with Queen Victoria. Can we request a trade agreement? It looks like maybe that's going to be a no. I'm not going to threaten them, that's for sure. So our talks have come to an end and in your favor. Isn't that wonderful? All right, I have a trade partner in Britain now. Excellent. That was really easy. Awesome. Let's do the same here with Mexico. I'd very much maybe like to get Mexico in on military alliance. Really? Okay. Let's try it. Hey, I have an alliance with Mexico. That actually may be really helpful moving forward. The Netherlands. Can we request a trade agreement with them? I guess that's a no. All right. I guess that's also a no. But hey, I've got a alliance with Mexico. I've got a trade agreement with Britain. That's a good start, I feel like. Can we maybe try France? If we give them some technology. Oh, no, I don't want to demand technology. I want to offer it. Can't request or present them with a gift. So, all right. So I guess we'll be satisfied with what we have for now there. A trade agreement with Britain, an alliance with Mexico. Let's look at infrastructure for just a second. Construction. Nothing more I can do there, really. Let's go ahead and get some howitzers going. Can't really get any more armed forces going there. What about up here in North and South Carolina? Charleston Zouaves, North Carolina Volunteers will queue up a bunch there. I'm going to queue up some more here as well. And I think we'll go with that. So let's see what happens here. All right, so here comes Abraham Lincoln again. Again, he's demanding Upper Texas. Oh, before it was another part of Texas. Now he wants Upper Texas. Yeah, no, I'm not going to give you any part of Texas. How about we just say this? We must reject your proposal. Fine. How about you don't invade me and you just let me be a separate country? Would that be awesome or what? I don't expect that's going to happen. All right, the South has seceded. Calling a state convention, the delegates voted to remove the state of South Carolina from the Union on December 20th, 1860, claiming their constitutional right to do so. The secession of South Carolina is followed by 6 more states: Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. In contrast, the territory of Kansas is given statehood and admitted to the Union. All right, we got to look at somewhere there's research, is there not? I mean, should I probably be researching new technologies? All right. Let's go ahead and get down here, because what I want to do is I want to start moving some of these armed forces that I've recruited up to Richmond.
My honor is to serve.
And then we've got some more that are still being queued up here. Doesn't look like I can really recruit too much right now, though. Citadel cadets. What else can we be building in Richmond? Anything? Everything's already being built, so nothing more I can do at the moment. Nashville, same thing. Let's look at recruitment. All I've got is guns right now. That is not going to be helpful. Where's Atlanta? Atlanta, I guess, is not really a city here. What does iron workshops get me? Okay, there's where we're going to get some things that are going to be helpful, I think. We definitely need some industry in the South, because the South doesn't have much in the way of industry. Start building up the infrastructure a little more here. Plantations. Farms. Alright, let me just look real quick at... Okay, what are the objectives? I guess we don't really have anything in the way of objectives. Alright, let's see what happens. Britain's moving some troops around there. The South creates a government. At convention, of course, they picked a former Secretary of War, a former U.S. military officer, Jefferson Davis, to be the head of the government. He was actually a senator from Mississippi at the time that the Civil War broke out. So there's the Stonewall Brigade. There's a bunch of artillery units that are now in. We're going to keep recruiting volunteers down here. I need to get some of them up into Nashville. I'm very worried about that, being that close there. So I'm going to send some of this state militia over to Nashville. It's going to take them a while. There's no trains between those two cities. Nothing I can do diplomatically this turn. That's interesting. Is that oh, there we go. That's why. All right. All the ports in my home region are at full capacity. That is why I can't do any more. Oh, maybe. An overland trade route. There we go. No? Okay. Mexico's friendly. Britain's friendly. Hey, it can't hurt to ask for an alliance, right? I mean, it can't hurt to ask for that. I have no technology that I can offer them. What if I gave up? What if I gave Britain part of Texas? New Mexico. Would you like New Mexico, Britain? I'm not really using it. No? No. Okay. Alright, I guess that's all we're going to be able to do in terms of diplomatic relations right now. Alright, there's quite a bit that I can recruit down here. Let's recruit Joseph Johnston. We do need to get a Western Army going at some point. Alright. Let's end that turn, see what happens here. I imagine war is coming at some point soon, I would think. There's the U.S. Army starting to move. I'll try to get a battle going as quickly as I can. Because I know that's a lot more interesting to watch when there's fighting. I forgot I could hold down space bar and fast forward. Okay. So we've got some buildings constructed. That'll be helpful. These volunteers dazzle their enemy with their fancy uniforms. The Charleston Zouaves. Zouaves were modeled after French troops. They had, if you ever see images, particularly of Northern Zouaves, they had these bright red on their uniforms, the big kind of baggy pants, fancy hats oftentimes. And it's cool. You can see what kind of guns they're using, the Enfield 1853s. Alright, so some traits gained among my ministers. A new nation has broken free from the shackles of imperialism and declared its independence. Do you recognize their sovereignty? Colombia. And the Mexican Empire. I hope that means we're still friends with Mexico. Oh, because now there's the Mexican Empire and the Mexican Republic. I think this was Maximilian who became the Mexican Emperor. He ended up being executed, I believe. So I guess we better negotiate with them. They're at war, so I don't want to get dragged into a Mexican civil war while I'm in the middle of my own civil war. So obviously I can't be allies with someone who is already fighting against my allies. I'm not giving you Texas. No. Okay, so let's try one more time to try to get some negotiations going with the United States that might avert a war. Maybe we could be allies. What do you think? You call those terms? There have been messages scrawled in the dust with more meaning and worth. Okay, I'll take that as a no then. All right. All right, we're starting to get some units here. Let's queue up some more. We'll queue up Robert E. Lee. I've already got a Stonewall Brigade. So let's get some more Virginia Volunteers going, maybe 2 of those. And I'm just going to kind of cycle through everywhere here. We're starting to build up some troops in some of these places. 2nd Texas Infantry, some Texas Volunteers, some Arkansas Volunteers. So we'll get some going there. That'll be really helpful. San Antonio, same thing. Jackson, Mississippi. We've got some state militia and some howitzers. We're going to need more than that, though, that's for sure. Let's get General Beauregard going there, along with some cavalry. All right, I just got to keep one eye on how much it's costing me for all of this. Not entirely sure how to do that, but I know there's got to be a way to see. Okay, here we go. So we're getting some trade income now, so that's really helpful. Some tax income, Army income, or Army upkeep is right now. It looks like I'm bringing in just enough in taxes to cover the cost of my army. That's obviously not going to be enough moving forward. So, but for now, at least we're breaking even there, and then the trade income kind of becomes a bit of a surplus that we can use to spend on other things that are needed. Okay. I'm really surprised war hasn't broken out yet. I guess it is still winter, though.
Seeking cover.
Let's fast forward all this. All right, Lincoln inaugurated. So I would imagine this is coming soon. Abraham Lincoln was elected president largely because... Oh, somebody's got a mistress. That's awesome. Largely because the Democrats split their party. If you're familiar with more modern politics, you can think back to the 1992 election when George H.W. Bush was running for re-election, and Ross Perot ran third party and got something like 15 to 20% of the vote, and probably cost Bush the election. I think had it just been Bush versus Clinton one-on-one, Clinton might not have ever been president. But a lot of conservatives went third party. That cost Bush the election. Same thing happened in 1912, where you had the Republicans splitting the vote, and that made the way for Woodrow Wilson. That's what happened in 1860. The South was very Democratic, as was part of the North, but the Democrat Party was split between 2 candidates. I think it was Stephen Douglas, and if I remember right, it was John Bell, or maybe it was Breckinridge. I know there were multiple people running. John Breckinridge had been the vice president. He ended up a Confederate general, but they split the votes, and that allowed Lincoln to win by getting basically all of the northern votes and hardly any, if any at all, in the South. And so that was what led to the crisis that became the Civil War. But let's take a look and see where we're at here, because I think the war is going to probably start soon. But the good news is I'm probably at the place right now where I'm going to be wrapping up this episode soon, and I can hopefully get all of your feedback about how best to go about this before the time comes for war, and I'll have some time to kind of get all your heads up and your advice about how best to do this, so that I'll be better prepared when the war does come. get over here and look at the regions where I've got to be particularly concerned about what's coming, because they're closer to everything. I'm going to send some of this state militia up to Nashville.
Facts are my currency.
Facts are my currency. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but there's Hampton's Legion. We'll get them going, get some more North Carolina volunteers going, and we're going to ship all these guys north up to Richmond to be part of the main army.
Moving.
The army that eventually became known, at this time it was known as the Army of the Potomac, the Southern Army was. Eventually, of course, became known as the Army of Northern Virginia under Robert E. Lee in 1862. But we've got plenty queued up right now. And Army upkeep's now at 2,500. It's going to keep rising, so I've got to be cautious I don't spend too much on my army to the point where I can't sustain. Alright, we'll go ahead and do one more turn here. And then I'll probably go ahead and wrap up this first episode. Alright, so we had a little glitch there. The game hung up for a few minutes, but I just went ahead and edited that part out. So it looks like we're at war. Maybe not. So a bunch more units recruited. Let's just look at government real quick. Look at diplomatic relations. We're still unfriendly with the United States, but not actually at war. Oh, wait. The United States is at war with Britain, though. Really? Or no, that's us. Okay. I'm really confused here. Let's take a look here and see if we can understand all of this. Diplomacy. So, yeah, okay, I am not at war with the United States. However, it appears the United States is. So Britain's at war with America, but not on my behalf. That may be why I'm not at war with America so far. So maybe this is the time to declare war on the United States in order to win this thing. So let's go ahead and do that. I haven't really seen him send any kind of army into D.C. So maybe it's time to besiege them. What kind of army we got here? It's probably not enough. Maybe I wait a turn or two to do that. Because I'm getting a bunch more the next turn. I've got these guys right here.
Secrecy. My watchword.
So we'll give it one more turn before I do that. But I think that's definitely where I want to go with this. So.
See, but unseen.
Alright, so there's an army. Okay. This nation has been destroyed. The Grenadine Confederation. Okay. Bunch more units have been recruited. I think I probably need to chill on recruiting units for now. Because of the upkeep. See, it's up to 4,000 in upkeep now. Now, granted, my trade income is helping with that. But if I lose my trade income to a blockade or something, I'm in trouble. So we're going to go ahead and sally forth with this army here under Stonewall Jackson. I'm not going to take everybody, but I'm going to take most of them. We'll leave the Potomac Guards behind and take everybody else. Yes, I'm declaring war. Mexican Republic's on my side. The Mexican Empire's on his side. So, yeah, why not?
Waiting further orders.
All right, so look at this. I outnumber him 2-1. So maybe we go to let's continue the siege, but we will definitely very early in the next episode we will go ahead and press that attack because I don't want to allow him to get more forces in there when I already outnumber him 2-1. So I'm going to wrap up right there for now. But I would love to hear your input. Is this a series that you're even interested in? If you are, if you would hit that thumbs up, that'll let me know, yes, we like this, and let me know to keep making more of these videos. I don't want to be making content that isn't of interest to people out there. So if you have any input, please use the comment section below to do that. Check out some of my other videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. And just say hi if you want to, and tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to know more about that. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you again real soon.